When I think back to my time playing Sylvio, I'm met with effects that no other game has had on me. A difficulty discerning if what I'm remembering is a dream or the actual game I played in 2015. Waves of nostalgia lapping at the edges of my memories. The kind that blurs my vision with a melancholy longing for a place that's reached a weird state of liminality in my mind. A final yet unresting state, filled with the scrambled voices of the virtual dead, reliving their final moments to an audience of one. How could this indie game from almost a decade ago, with a funny little potato gun and simple graphics, have such an impact on me? Well, a decade later, Sylvio is now a trilogy of games. With the recent release of a third title, 2024 is the perfect time to fill your lungs with the mist of the mountain air in Sylvio 1's Saginaw Family Park. To navigate the oppressive, claustrophobic residents of Sylvio 2's haunted, cocooned islands. And bathe in the alien lakes of Sylvio 3's black waters.
All praise Sylvio.
The blood of the mist inside my skin.
Sylvio is created by Studio Stroboscope. Title screen jump scared me. Nicholas Swanberg mostly developed the series himself. It's definitely a personal passion project, considering the attempt to fund the sequel through Kickstarter failed in 2016. And despite that, Sylvio 2 still got released in 2017, but major cuts were made to the concept and scope of the game. The third installment, Black Waters, was picked up by publisher Dread XP and released in July of this year, 2024. Dread XP is an indie horror games publisher focused on uplifting members of the independent developer community. It's a great addition to the Dread XP library of horror games. Sylvio's protagonist, Juliette Waters, was voiced by Mia Hansen-Bergqvist. She's a Swedish actress known for roles in movies like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Let the Right One In. Both awesome books and really great movies. In Sylvio, she delivers one of the most honest vocal performances for a video game character that I've ever heard.
Maybe I can help them take that step into the light. I don't know. But I can hear them. They're talking. And that's why I record.
I mean, it's right up there with the disturbed and surreal deliveries of the original Silent Hill 2 voice acting cast.
I look like Mary, don't I? You loved her, right?
She lifts mountains in creating a believable and fleshed out Juliette Waters. Speaking of which, we play as Juliette Waters, a soft-spoken ghost recordist with a penchant for breaking and entering.
I bet I could pry it open with something.
And nerves of steel.
I can't get back out that way.
Juliette lives only a few hours' drive from a defunct family park in Saginaw, Michigan. She's eager to test out an old piece of equipment she bought recently.
Congratulations on your purchase of the L500, the very latest in modern spirit recording technology.
It's capable of capturing and playing back electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. It's a reel-to-reel system with an attached microphone, a mini sound visualizer, or oscillograph, and analog playback speed controls. The tutorial for this machine is amazing. It teaches you about the game mechanics in a way that slyly shepherds you into the game's world and mood without you ever noticing. You learn to listen carefully to the recordings and intuitively use WASD to either fast forward or backwards, slow back and forth, reverse, and then play the reel to spot the recorded sounds. Within these sounds is where the finer points of Sylvio's story are told. Some in the form of seances with the dead in key locations,
What's your name?
bits you can hear from the environment, and tape reels left by one of the game's main characters, Bobby Hansen.
I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. Please don't be mad at me for this.
The broader strokes of the story's history are relayed through newspaper clippings and notes found in many of the bookcases in the game. Let's establish a timeline that we can build off and flesh out as we go first. Hooray! We're going to Michigan. In the 16th century, during the European colonization of America, an Italian group of settlers came into conflict with the Ojibwe tribe in Saginaw, Michigan. Whatever the disagreement, be it land or resources, the settlers surrounded the village and burnt it to the ground, murdering over 100 families. Coming generations believed the surrounding forest to be cursed, and the land remained untouched for centuries until 1950, when an Ohio businessman, James Henson, purchased the rights to this land in Saginaw, Michigan, nestled at the base of a mountain. Saginaw is an actual place. Minus the mountain. Saginaw's not really known for its mountains. Unless you count Sled Hill, it's the closest elevated point that I could find. But that's fine. It's a game, not a documentary. The name Saginaw is an Ojibwe word meaning to flow out, probably referring to the Saginaw River outlet. But it's translated in-game as pouring out of the mouth, which is something that I really love about this developer. They take real places, historical events, and themes, and then slightly tweak them for narrative purpose and effect. By 1965, Saginaw Park was built and opened. It featured amusement rides framed by beautiful natural scenery, a zoo with an aquarium, fine dining, swimming pools, and hotels, as well as a small community village with permanent residence for James and his family, as well as other, more well-off local families. In 1971, a massive storm hit the family park. Heavy rains and bellowing winds caused devastating landslides and flooding, killing 31 people and 20 others that were buried alive, their bodies never recovered. The small village center being hit the hardest, even killing the wife of James Henson in their family home. Now that we have the main story covered, let's get back to Juliette, help her investigate. Near the park entrance, Juliette falls through a ceiling into a bar with a lounge, completely buried under the earth from the landslide. Finding a key, we come across a hot tub with a false bottom. As it retracts in and covers a hospital bed in a small room, it's kind of disturbing just thinking of what possible purpose this served. Okay, that's red flag number 1. After overloading a heater, we trip the breaker and the lights go out. We can hear Bobby, James's son, moaning in fright and scampering away in the next room over. We'll get to know more about Bobby as we go through the park, but it looks like he was resting in the next room, ripping cigs. In the locker, we find Bobby's potato gun.
Looks like it's powered by this spray can.
Oh, that's fun.
I wonder where the ammo is.
See, Juliette knows. Its projectiles are powered by Saginaw Incorporated bug pesticide aerosol cans? That sounds not great to breathe in. Swapping out the old canister and filling up on bolt ammo, we move into the hallway and get a hit on our Stellatron microphone. It's our first spirit. The notes from the static are mostly reserved for marking waypoints for key items on your screen, leading you to items to either solve environmental puzzles or to the game's collectibles in the form of sheet music.
This must have been the storage for when the family park was up and running. I wonder what it's used for nowadays.
Opening the hatch, we enter a large storage area and find a chalkboard with a message to Bobby from James, explaining the ammo types and their uses. Spuds and rocks for interacting or pushing objects, and nails are used to inflict damage. The message states that nails would hurt his siblings, letting us know that he's not an only child. Just past the chalkboard, we see our first hostile black cloud. You can shoot them with nails, and each one will leave a recording after dissipating. The voices you record are helpful in progressing through each area. This one points us towards an old junker that needs some parts to get up and running. Yup, you get to drive in this game, and it's kind of funny and kind of dumb. I love it. Exploring further in, we find another hospital bed and books on doing basic health checkups and questionnaires on people's personal information. Okay. Another hospital bed in a room with basic medical books. I mean, it's not the most alarming sight in a family amusement park that may have need for general medical staff, but still, I'm gonna say half a red flag for that. Up the stairs, we find an audio reel. This is the first of 10 that Bobby leaves for us throughout the game. All right, let's listen to tape 9.
She was so heavy, and it took me far too long to carry her through the corridor. I had only gotten to the elevator room when the siblings catched up with me. I broke a window and jumped out, but they took Jill with them. I managed to escape and ended up at the old hotel. I know what Father does to those who doesn't obey him, and I know my life will end if they find me.
So that was Bobby, here in the hotel area, mentioning that he was trying to get someone named Jill away from his father and siblings, remarking that those who disobey father die. So Bobby's close, and that's another full-ass red flag. Up the stairs, across from where we found Bobby's reel, we have our first seance. Let's listen in and see what we can learn.
What's your name?
Daniel.
How did you die? Where did you die?
Oh, our first back and forth with an actual ghost. Ooh, spooky. We've heard the name Henson before, specifically Bobby and his father, James. So Daniel is part of the Henson family. Well, used to be at least. Poor kid, I think. Bobby saying the siblings were chasing him makes me think that they're not the best kids. Oh, I wonder if this intercom still works. Ooh. Ooh. Across the way from that weird-ass intercom, we see James Henson giving hard cult leader, James. Yeah, shit's pretty fucked here. I think it's great. This opening area is positively dripping. No, oozing with environmental storytelling. A hazy picture is starting to form, but we need more puzzle pieces. Opposite the wall from our smiling friend James, another bookcase with an old brochure for Saginaw bug pesticide, bug and moth control, auto spray aerosol can. Yep, that's true. Huh. Based on the whole natural mist of Saginaw Forest. That's interesting. We'll come back to that later. For now, let's look around a bit more.
They hate this.
Oh, cute. Ghostbusters reference. I mean, it makes absolute sense that Juliette is a fan. Looking at this projector, it seems this room was used as some kind of onboarding conference room. A few words from our creator, Have You Been to Honolulu? At 9 a.m. Tests and interviews, health checks and more interviews, an announcement of winners. So Have You Been to Honolulu is some sort of contest? The winners are taken to a helipad for departure. I guess they pack for you because they say not to forget your new briefcase, as it has all you'll need for your vacation. So a contest was being run out of Saginaw Family Park, offering free trips to Hawaii if you meet specific health, personal, and social standards. That's odd. Very odd. All right, I've had enough of this creepy office. Let's fix up that old junker, see if we can get her running again. Jesus Christ, what is that? Giant shadows show up when you're nearing the end of each area. They take a few more bolts to disperse and have messages for you. This one is vacation, and yeah, we figured that one out. Oh look, the wheel. And gas. And a spark plug. Oh, there's a lever in the office with the spark plugs. Here, let's pull it. It opens a series of rooms in the main hallway.
What could this have been used for? Some kind of cells for isolating patients?
Oh man. Inside, it's not good. Explain? Okay, I think these rooms are scary. An airtight, isolated room with a single bed, a massive vent pumping God knows what in, a single frame picture of James fucking Hanson's weird ass smile on the wall. And to top that off, we're picking up some creepy freaking signals on our Stellatron. 4 rooms like this? Nope, I'm out. Fuck that. Next level. Here, there's something I want to try now that we're outside. I want to lead you through just the game's background soundscape. Okay, close your eyes. Can you hear it? There's so much woven within these sounds that we can tease out with a bit of context. Here, a storm in a family park, nestled on the side of a mountain. Heavy rain and winds soften the side of the mountain. The ground breaks loose, unleashing a landslide. People howling and screaming for help. Buried alive. And therein lies Sylvio's magic. Brilliant environmental storytelling through sound. This gives meaning to and injects a keen sense of dread into even the background sounds of the game. This game is an auditory feast. Paired with an amazing soundtrack, the mood of this game just consumes your ears. Now that we're outside, we heavily rely on our oscillograph to point the way to new points of interest. This landslide was massive. Trees and light poles half buried. God knows what we're driving over. The mist from the mountain is heavy, red tinted, and thick. Kind of gives me the feeling of almost being underwater. All right, 340 meters, that away. Oh, buried buildings. All right, let's check them. Think we'll find anything here, Mr. Crow? Okay. Oh, look, there's another bookcase. A nursery schedule. Wake up time, breakfast, okay. Changing of the night mother? Okay, that's weird. Children are not allowed to play in the woods, must be kept inside at all times. Sing the song at the end of each day. And also, this is cute. The blood of the mist inside my skin. The way you discover all this information is out of order, including all of Bobby's reels. So you can't quite put the whole story together all at once. I'm going to dole out the second and third of Bobby's reels in order in a second. But first, let's go over what we know just so far from the environment and the newspaper clippings. So James Henson is the owner and operator of Saginaw Family Park. He's also a local politician, but also a cult leader. The cult is run out of the permanent living village area of the park, with little cult kids that sing songs with their night mother and can't play outside in the woods. In a seance further in the game, we come across a girl that mentions... So, okay, cult confirmed. This important seance clears up a lot of questions that we had.
Where are you?
Inside him.
Well, the park is right next to a burial ground, said to be cursed, housing something named Sylvio, living in the forest. Is this thing embracing these unrested souls? A few questions from Juliette later, and we get confirmation.
Where's your family?
Sylvio.
Who is Sylvio?
The blood of the mist.
Oh, more chills. The church ran some sort of vacation contest out of the park called Have You Been to Honolulu? And I doubt very, very much at this point that it was legitimate and that they were actually flying people to Hawaii, given what we've seen below the bar and lounge of the first area. Okay, Bobby's reel 2 and 3. Let's listen.
Just after you left, there was a big storm. The ground was rumbling, and the siblings got scared. So we went back to the village. Father told everyone to go home and lock the doors. After a couple of hours, the whole ground shook, and it was like the whole town was being eaten by the mountain. Father and I climbed up on the roof and sat there for hours. Mother drowned in her bed. It was just me, Father, and the siblings left. We moved to the house on the hill because it hadn't been struck by the landslide. A lot of the tourists had died as well. Newspapers wanted to interview us about the tragedy, but Father didn't want to talk to them. Nothing was like before. We were all alone. But Father kept saying it was for the greater good.
So the Hensons lost a lot of family in the landslide. I'm slightly confused about Bobby saying that the siblings are alive. We know that Daniel's dead. He told us as much during the seance. Honestly, there's quite a few contradicting plot points in the game that may just be me misunderstanding the material. We'll talk more about that later, though. Well, let's check out James and Bobby's after-storm home. Yeah, nice hillbilly aesthetic going on here. The front doors are locked. So we got to take a lift up to the attic and go from there. Oh, nice bones. Great.
So many bones. At least they're not human. Looks like the bones of birds.
God, James! Even in your own home? Why not just put up a mirror? Gee, he's really proud of this photo. Oh, weird. I can still see his face on it. Ugh, creepy. Ooh, baby, it's a key. And another bookcase. Give me lore now. Wanna leave for the sun? Hey, free vacation. Have you been to the Caribbean? Have you been to Honolulu? That one's been circled. I mean, we knew James was involved in the creation of the contest, but these are notes on him like spitballing ideas for an attractive, catchy name to lure people in. Oh, it makes it all the more insidious. All right, doors open. Ghost! God, this bug pesticide just gets all up in your lungs. What's this? Cage 1 through 4 with the machine main switch. With the key, we get access to another weird room. There's strange alien lights stacked on the shelvings, lining the walls. I mean, at least they look like lights. And another message to Bobby from James. It seems they were using birds as some sort of fuel source to power something. Another lever leads us to a cage room.
4 cages connected to a big machine, which is connected to some kind of container.
Cages are connected to some bizarre machine, processing something into a focal point and then depositing it here in one of those light things. Oh, that's absolutely alien. Well, let's see if we can catch some burbs and burn them. See what happens. Oh, they had names! While out collecting birds, we find a small residence in the woods. Looks like a man named Christoph was living here in a trailer next to Bobby and James. We get to speak directly with Christoph in a seance.
What's your name? How did you die? What happened to you? What do you want from me?
He says he's stuck in some tunnel and that he's not alone. Perhaps the other spirits we've been talking to? During another seance with Robin, she describes Sylvio as and further confirms what we found earlier. Sylvio is some sort of being, perceived to dead souls as a dark tunnel. Some of the dead know that they are now part of Sylvio. Well, I mean, the ones that were indoctrinated into the Church of the Red Mist. But Christoph? He has no clue where he is. He's just frightened with others in some dark tunnel. Juliette asks him where this tunnel is.
Where's this tunnel?
His response? Oh, God, chills. Well, sorry, Christoph.
That's 3 to go.
Some sort of energy is extracted from the crow babies, and the receiving object is indeed a light. So James is extracting light from the crows. We can take this light to a Morse code machine, input the pattern that we find on a board next to us, and then we're free to leave to the next level.
Okay, that'll work as light, I guess.
But before we do that, I wanted to talk a bit about the Saginaw Bug Spray Company. After the storm and landslide, James purchased Saginaw Bug Pesticide Company. He had a factory of workers laying down huge pipes with fans just all over the mountain, collecting the infamous Saginaw red mist, and pressurized it into canisters that you see scattered about the game. Newspaper clippings we find say that the spray's effects had been widely questioned, arguing that it may have been harmful to humans and animals, citing reports of hallucinations and blackouts by customers. I'm not sure what the purpose of James bottling this stuff up and selling it was for, but it got shut down after the storm. I feel it may have been used in the cult for control and sedative purposes. If you remember the first area, there were vents pumping something into those airtight isolation rooms. That's crazy. All right, we're out of here. The next two areas have little to do with the main plot of the game, and they're kind of annoying with some janky environmental puzzles. We do get a little side story from some of the victims of the landslide, but I'm skimming. Here, at the end of the hotel area, we find a recorded message from Bobby.
If anyone hear this, open the electrical box by the gate and switch the lever. Take the cable car from the silver.
Sounds like he's in trouble. I mean, it's hard to make out with a freaking helicopter in the background, but here's the switch he was talking about. And after that, here's the cable car to the old Saginaw bug spray factory. I got the key, so way the fuck up the mountain we go. Ooh, nice skybox. And a beautiful view. It's dawn, and we're far above the mountain mist now. And funny thing is, our spirit recorder, dead silent, no hits. I try not to read too much into this, but I get this nagging feeling like inhaling the aerosol and the red mist had some kind of effect on Juliette in the previous areas, but we have no way of knowing for sure. All the piping pumping the mist goes into the factory. Let's listen to Bobby explain the purpose of the factory now, before we head in.
We turned the factory into a hospital. I was in charge of taking care of the patients. Most of the time they were asleep. Sometimes I gave them pills, or helped them to the toilet, or taking a shower. They were always so confused. Sometimes I talked to them, but they would only stare at me, or stare at the ceiling, and then fall asleep again.
Ah, so the Hanses moved up here after the factory was closed. The people that won the contest were also relocated up here in some sort of hospital ward, kept in a catatonic state. Actually, do you remember this? Ooh. Yeah, that makes so much sense now. They may have been trying to call out for help from the hospital ward area we haven't discovered yet. What James was doing with these people? I have the feeling that it may involve what we saw with the crows. Here, let's get inside, find out for ourselves. Through a hidden entrance under an elevator, we find a shower room with lockers. In one of the lockers, we collect a message from James Henson to one of his workers, Lucy. I'm sorry it had to end this way. Please believe me when I say that my hands are tied. he gives Lucy and us a combination to make our way into the hospital ward area. It's kind of weird. James doesn't strike me as some unhinged cult leader hell-bent on feeding followers to some malevolent forest spirit, but his picture sure does. It's hard to know without any more information on his feelings or actions. Oh, here's the ward. In the hallway, we find single occupancy hospital rooms with a chart for each person. These are the Have You Been to Honolulu winners. Further down the hall, holy, what the hell? It's like a crazy alien elevator. Up a floor, we find one of those weird glove hand sitting things that constantly touches your butt. Ew. And another Bobby reel. Let's play it.
Hello, Yale. This is Bobby. The code to my bedroom is written on your day chart. Visit me at night when the siblings are asleep. I'll be waiting for you.
Ew. Bobby. Jesus. So Bobby was really into one of the contestant winners, Jill. Well, here's Jill's chart.
There's no combination here.
But there's no code. It must have been filed away. Oh, here we go. Jill Edwards, and the code with a heart. Man, Bobby's creepy. Ooh. We use the code, flip a lever, and go down a hatch that we find near the hidden part of the elevator, leading into the heart of the mountain. Oh no, we know this sound. We've seen these machines.
Jill?
We find Jill hooked to a different kind of machine than the crows. No furnace burning her, just some device over her head, collecting something. She looks half dead, half alive. And then I know you have questions. I know that this game may have felt like some surreal fever dream that you barely half remember. I feel that way too. There are answers, but they're not here in Sylvio 1. We've squeezed just about as much info as we could from here. We need to turn to Sylvio 2 if we want to get most of our remaining questions answered. Questions like, what exactly was James after with the cult and the strange machines? What was he extracting from Jill? And why did Jill become a giant shadow being? Why were spirits stuck in a dark tunnel known as Sylvio? What is Sylvio? And most importantly, what happened to Juliette? Sylvio 2 is a painful game in many ways. As I said earlier, it failed its Kickstarter despite a very well-received prototype of the game, showing some of the game's environments and gameplay mechanics. It got the attention of a few well-known content creators. Sylvio's Kickstarter had a lot of lofty goals and features that were to be added to the game if it was kickstarted successfully, and it had reached its stretch goals. Main story, Juliette once again faces the darkness of Saginaw through environmental puzzles and challenging objectives, record ghosts in vision and audio, and lucid dreaming, find places to sleep and explore Juliette's dreams and nightmares. Even with all the attention, the ending goal of about 13,000 was not reached, netting a modest 8,000. Despite this, Stroboscope did the hard thing and began cutting off all but necessary elements, set on making this game, backing or no. The result? A 2017 release of Sylvio 2 met with mixed reviews from fans of the first game. Reviews ranging from, Sylvio 2 is an improvement to 1 in some ways, but in others, it's a bit shaky. 2, Absolutely terrible. Everything that made the original game feel unique and interesting has been stripped down to a boring cycle of walking to glowing orbs. I believe that all of the attention from the game's prototype and Kickstarter page worked heavily against it in a major way. People began comparing the final release to the features promised in a fully funded and successfully launched Kickstarter. Even I bought it at launch. I played it for about an hour and then I shelved it, thinking to myself, what happened? Not knowing what I do now about the tumultuous development cycle the game underwent. I think this was probably most people's experience. They saw the Kickstarter, they saw all the features, awesome stretch goals, and a well-received demo, and then they just checked out for 6 to 8 months. And then Sylvio 2 hits the Steam store. They bought it, and yeah, it's nothing like what was expected. And I was wrong for this. I wish I would have opened my mind a little bit more and let the game speak for itself and had listened. Really, really listened. Because yes, Sylvio 2 is not pretty. It's bare bones, with chunks cut off it, and heavily linear. And that's painful. In art, cutting chunks and pieces off an idea born of your emotions and will, it hurts. But the core of the game, its heart, guts, and soul, are all there. Within this stripped down version of the game, with context, you can see Stroboscope's vision of the game that would have been. I'm grateful that 7 years later, I gave it the chance that it deserved, to just appreciate the art and passion, however tempered or reduced it had to be, poured into the continuing story of Juliette Waters.
Hey, Jonathan!
We open on a boat near the outskirts of Saginaw Family Park. But we're not playing as Juliette. The captain calls us Jonathan. Apparently Jonathan is looking for his girlfriend, who went missing a few days ago in Saginaw Family Park. Wait a minute. We know a girl that's been running around a family park, huffing bug spray and potato gunning black fart clouds. Oh my god, this is Juliette's boyfriend? Captain Walters tells Jonathan that he can borrow a boat and go look for her as the area is heavily flooded, but he needs to hurry as there has been bad weather spotted. The plan is to meet up back at the Lighthouse Island as soon as he finds Juliette.
Where am I? I wonder how long I've been out.
Juliette's alive! She sounds disoriented though, unaware of how long she's been unconscious for. With only one path open, we descend further underground. The nauseating smell of wet earth wafts over us as we travel on some kind of manufactured tunnel system. To the right, we come across some
Cozy sleeping arrangements. Doesn't seem to be used though.
and up the path on the left,
I wonder how far down it goes. Maybe there's some kind of underground river.
access to water and a place to sleep. It looks as though there were people living underground here, wherever here is. Our path ends with a door carved out of a wall. Oh, hello there, Stellatron. Oh, excuse me.
The Stellatron L2000.
The digital counterpart to Juliette's old analog system. We now have an upgraded oscillograph. Oh, here we go. Spectrogram. We can see hotspots that contain sound, and the controls are the same as the analog device. On the microphone side, our recording device passively records as we move around, but we can now actively record visuals with the camera in key areas.
Janet, are you there?
That replaces the seances Juliette was doing, much the same as recording without visualization. We have to listen carefully and adjust the speed accordingly to uncover the messages. As I showed earlier, the system was stripped down from the prototype, but it's okay. We're here to appreciate what we have. Looking around the small flat, we can see all the windows are buried beneath the earth. I mean, it makes sense, we are underground, but this building could not have been built this way. We're on the outskirts of the family park, so could it be that the landslide reached even out here? I don't believe so, for reasons we'll see in a bit. Each location has a small story within it. This one tells the story of Janet and two kids, Donald and his unnamed sister, and also...
James, where are you?
James? No, okay, James is a common name, so let's chill on leaving at conclusions here and just absorb what we can. James. Trapped underground, the family was struggling. There's mention of being tired of sleeping, and I'm sure food was scarce to none. They had plenty of water though, so you can live a while like that, but oh god, that sucks. Worst of all, the electricity was out, except for one source. The alien device, charging station that James created. It appears he installed them in more places than just the park. So James's influence reached further than the park. I mean, that tracks, given his standing in the community, being a political leader and local employer. We find an exhausted light source, in bed flickering, as we talk to Donald. Apparently there was a dispute with Janet towards Donald's sister. Whatever it was about, it ended with his sister in that bucket over the river we passed. Might have been some form of cruel punishment. We don't get nearly enough information to make clear sense of what happened here. As we lower the camera into the river, we can see what seems to be a child's remains, Donald's sister, giving us the code to the locked door, to a room with a hole that gets us topside.
That's a strange kind of soil. Completely black. Almost looks burnt. Like charcoal or lava.
We get another message in the locked room saying, I tried to save you. I kept him out. So James being the one locked out? Our ending words in the static being, on the TV, a beautiful smile. By the water, here lies the fifth. I'm tired of sleeping. She tricked him. James, I want to live. It burns. It's over. Huh. Again, we don't have enough information to put together a good picture of what happened here. And it's the same for many of the areas for that matter. These are just my best guesses. Please, if you know anything that I missed, I'm very interested to know what you think. Topside, we can see some sort of island cocooned in a shell of what looks like lava. Gray, cloudy skies and thick fog surround us. Just off the shore is the boat from the intro. Jonathan? Or maybe Captain Walters. On board the ship, it looks years and years older. It's a surprise she's still floating. In the cabin, we find Captain Walters' logbook and radio. So we're on the captain's boat.
Hello? Captain Walter?
Hey, that's you. Belongs to me. What is your position? Over.
I'm so sorry, I don't know. I've managed to escape a kidnapping, and I need to get home. Over.
What's your name, Juliette? Your boyfriend is looking for you. Over.
Jonathan is here? Okay. Do you know where I can find him? Over. Captain Walter. Captain Walter. Okay then. I'll borrow the boat, find Jonathan, and head for Lighthouse Isle. Shouldn't be too hard to spot. Now let's see if I can get this computer started.
Juliette did the smart thing and lied to Walter about her situation. He just opted to say that she escaped a kidnapping, rather than saying she was fighting ghosts in a family park with a weird cult and evil forest spirit. Near the radio, we find an old PC navigation system called Sight. This shows us all of the islands that we can navigate to with X and Y coordinates. There's 7 locations in the story to visit, each one with a small side story within. We're not going to cover them all here, as if you don't directly relate to the overarching plot. If you want to do a playthrough, I recommend this guide by Acid Rain on Steam. They recommend you collect all of the keys on these islands first, and then begin playing through the story. That's what I did, and it helped ease the key finding immensely. On the island, we find mummified remains of people frozen in painful poses, each island encapsulated in a lava cocoon-like structure. After collecting all the keys, we reach our next underground location.
Jonathan, are you here?
Again, it's a small apartment, no one home, and haunted as hell. People are stuck here and have stories to tell. This one tells the story of a husband, George, wife, Ruth, and their baby. And... James? Okay, it's gotta be James Henson. There's no freaking way that many dudes are named James in Saginaw. And again, with the locked me up part. So was James like going house to house, locking people up for whatever reason? Either for their safety or maybe quite the opposite, to prevent people from leaving. Talking with George, he tells us that Ruth and the child are in heaven.
George, are you there?
that angels came down. With the name Ruth, we can ask her if she's still there in the next room over that was locked by James, and then continue our interview. Juliette asks her why they locked her up, and we get a strange response. Okay, that's weird. Hey George, we found Ruth. Have anything to say? Then who the fuck is in the locked room?
Who are you?
That's not Ruth. It's some entity, very creepily saying what happened here is all on Juliette, and then we're given coordinates to the next location. Damn. What's going on here? Some cataclysmic event happened. People for a brief time were buried and sealed into their homes. A few people were apparently raptured by angels. But before that, James was going house to house, doing something. Whew, weird shit. So wait, if we look at the opening cutscene again with Jonathan and the captain, here, look at the lighthouse in the islands. Yeah, they're just normal rocks and land. There's no lava stuff at all. So whatever happened, it was after Jonathan went searching for Juliette, but before Juliette came to, underground, near Janet's home.
Can you hear me, Captain Walter? Over.
Bad weather out. You need to get to the lighthouse now. Over.
I still haven't found Jonathan, but I have some coordinates. I think they might lead me to him. I'll try to hurry up. Over.
Does the captain sound a bit weird to you? It's probably nothing. Input the coordinates and toot toot, we're off. The deck of our ship is slowly being occupied by strange metal sculptures, demonesque in appearance, like beasts with horns. No, almost like trickster demons or something. You can find these amongst the residents in the game. Where did they come from? And what are they meant to represent? We'll get a few answers here.
Not much privacy in here.
A bathroom with a waiting line of chairs with just a curtain between you and the poo. Jeez. Close to the very public bathroom, the space opens up into a church, prominently displaying one of those metal sculptures we were talking about. So they're used in some form of worship. The church seems like it was constructed in a hurry, or I guess it's better to say it seems like it was made hastily after some event, like made in response to something that happened, if that makes sense. We find a note from Rosie, and with that name, we can ask her,
Rosie, are you there?
and the keys lead us to an ominous staircase down into complete darkness, but it's locked. Using the key in that room, we find the congregation's priestly chambers, priest
I
pad.
think this might be the priest's apartment.
Whoa, fancy. I guess the priest gets his own tub and private toilet. Pooping in peace for this priest. Not much to note here, just a collection of creepy pictures. Maybe the parishioners? And a recording of 3 cryptic phrases and 4-dimensional music notes that have H in it. It must be a crazy song. And another recording that mentions the word Soil. It's informal Latin or French name meaning sun. With these phrases, after playing the 4D musical number, Juliette ascends the podium and delivers the completed sermon.
Bring a friend to descend, to mend.
And she's met with silence from the congregation. So a local church interested in recruiting others, possibly worshiping something other than the more common faiths, engaging in some kind of act of mending, like self-mending, hurt, trauma, or is there a rift of some other kind that needs mending? That's a very interesting thought. But the descending part, I think I know where to go to initiate that. We're met with a shoddy hand-built wooden tunnel. It's unnerving. The end comes into view. Okay, so this is a symbolic form of rebirth? I mean, symbolic, but quite literal. Vaginal openings are used quite often in games and art. It's bold symbology that those who pass this point will move from one state of life to another. We pick up a signal right before the opening. The stick. Push it. Ah, I see. Outside, we can see the rebirthing canal. We can't pass through it for whatever reason. It just continues on its trajectory. But we do head into a massive open cave area. Dark as hell and hard to see, but there are 3 points of interest ahead of us. The first is another metal statue and a recording. The next mentions a blacksmith. Oh, I mean, we have been finding metal sculptures everywhere. It's possible a blacksmith created them and then was distributing the sculptures out into the community. The last point is a question to Sylvio.
Soleil, are you there?
Huh, just like not Ruth. Sylvio does not sound human, and they, whatever they are, give us the coordinates to our next location. Up the stairs next to the priest room, a door is now open. We find the smithy's forge, a lone anvil, and a metal sculpture sit. Okay, yeah, we get confirmation of a few things. They came from heaven, matches with what George said about the angels taking Ruth and their child away. Some sort of rapture happened, but the people here as ghosts weren't taken. Only selected people. The ones left behind faced some sort of cataclysmic event, sealing everything underground. The angels were worshipped by this church. I really don't believe that these people were part of the Church of the Red Mist. I mean, it doesn't feel like it at least. Well, except for the mention of these 2 things from words from the static. Bring a friend, welcome, if you please, into the woods, dirty down there. Never leave them, to descend, to mend, the blacksmith that came from heaven. However, you can interpret it as going into the woods is dirty, and within, Sylvio will never let you leave them. But man, I don't know. It's like a puzzle with half of the pieces missing and the rest got chewed up and don't fit right. Damn, look at our collection. It's getting crowded on deck. Dude, yeah, they all look like trickster demons to me, not angels. Could the whole congregation have been duped? Like in a panic, it's really easy to see people clinging on to even a sliver of hope of salvation.
Captain Walter, how is the storm coming? Over. Really? Over here it's still just really foggy. Yes, a lot of black soil everywhere. Are you feeling okay? Over. I will. It won't be long now. Over.
Oh, there we go. She notices how strange Captain Walter is behaving. Toot toot.
This is the fanciest apartment yet.
Yeah, for being underground, this is pretty nice. But something feels more wrong here. Vibes are just fucked. Okay, let's just focus on the hotspots. Ooh, nice sauna. It's huge for such a small place. Oh, that'd be kind of awesome. God, what a creepy little kid's room with creepy little wallpaper and toys. Ugh, I don't like it. All of the hotspots thus far refer to a child that's in hiding. The mother saying, come out, mama won't hurt you. And possibly a response of, please stop. And then get the salt, the candle, and talk to Jennifer. Okay, good. We got a name, Jennifer. I'm pretty sure that's the mother. Here, let's see what she says.
Jennifer, are you there?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pentagram with toys? Oh man, hell no.
I think she wants me to draw a pentagram on the floor.
Let's get the spooky shit and do the thing. Alright, let's summon a demon child, I guess.
Milton, are you there?
Oh shit, again? That's the same entity blaming Juliette throughout the game. Words from the static tell us what happened to Milton. Where is the child? Come out, mama won't hurt you. Where is he? Please stop. Set the table. She's obsessed. Sylvio is in her. This is the end. It's becoming clear that Sylvio possesses certain people and steals their faces and bodies. I think, like Ruth, Milton was raptured. leaving the obsessed Jennifer alone. Even Janet, possibly, from the first area. It looks like before they were taken, the chosen people lived for a short time with the possessed people, living in terror most likely. Oh god, the lights are flickering. How do I stop it? Ah! James! What the fuck? He's back! And he's helping? Or indietro? Indietro means backwards in Italian. What? With that name, we can return to the pentagram and recite the words.
Sylvio, rosso, indietro, luce.
In Italian and Latin mixed, it reads Sylvio, red, backwards, light. We see Milton, and then a door, and then it's all kind of quiet again, but still creepy. Okay, I'll just close that. Sylvio paired with red light, it makes a lot of sense to me. The Church of the Red Mist and light being extracted from half-living, half-dying things. I still can't tell if James's creepy ass was helping us or what. I just don't know. All right, get me out of here. Whew. Dude, that was nuts. Huge gaps remain, but I feel like we're making baby steps of progress. It took slight sleuthing to find the old Latin and Italian translation to make any kind of sense of those words. But I think it's probably correct. But again, more half-chewed pieces that kind of fit, kind of don't. We're off. Doot doot.
The body's still down here. Poor man.
In our final area, Juliette discovers her first body underground. We've seen these on the island while collecting the keys, again in a state of some sort of mummification. We get voices saying that they locked him up. He wasn't like us. The same theme of people being possessed and turning on friends and family. Phil tells us where the key is hidden under the sink. Oh, it's dark again beyond the door. All right, I'm gonna crank the gamma. Okay, that's better. Oh shit, we're outside. I mean, kind of. It's the front of the house leading to a road and power lines. I mean, we knew we were underground, but it looks as if the whole world has been wrapped up in a lava shell. Up the road, we traverse a farm field leading to a barn. Inside the barn, we find out that there's a hatch to open. That's the entrance. To what? Let's find out. Are we getting rebirthed again? No, I don't think so. Instead of an orifice, we're met with a weird motorcycle contraption that has a belt connected to something above us, behind the barn. Okay, it's time to go. Don't want to asphyxiate Juliette. Behind the barn sits a cute little boat. Aw, it's adorable.
The boat is running.
All right, all aboard. Doot doot. We land minutes later at the dock of an island.
Get to the lighthouse at once.
Oh, the captain. Oh, but wait, we record the voices of the dead. Further up the path, the lighthouse comes into view, as well as his remains. Apparently the bad weather that came was most likely the event that happened to everyone here. Juliette can barely get her next question out, hitching her breath.
Captain Walter, are you there?
They're absent. This bad weather.
Behind us is a marker we missed on the way up. Oh.
Jonathan, are you there?
Juliette?
Jonathan pointed to the lighthouse.
We leave Jonathan and the captain behind, Juliette having some sort of closure at least. We ascend the lighthouse after getting our last recording. Oh, I love you too, boyfriend. We're topside again, the lava casing not completely enveloping the top of the lighthouse. One single point of interest is in the distance. We make our way over. Now, I'm going to show you the ending, minus one scene. I want you to hear the words of the ending first, and then think on it with me for a moment, and then I'll show you the scene. Okay? Here we go.
Hello, little lonely girl. Welcome to the vessel. Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for your patience. I wasn't quite sure on the coordinates. I visited a few different locations before getting stuck in that hole.
What happened to Saginaw Park?
We discovered a major leak of light, so we had to patch it up to stop the growth of darkness. Easiest way was to cocoon the planet and then extract as many inhabitants as we could.
You cocooned the planet and extracted all the humans?
Yes,
Am I the only one left on Earth?
yes,
Where are the humans that survived?
on another vessel. We're going there now.
What's your name?
You can call me Celine.
Celine, I think all of this is on me. I think I was in the machine that caused the light leak.
That's okay. It's not the first time it's happened.
What do you mean?
It's a method to get a longer life. You extract light from a creature who is kept in limbo between life and death. And then you inhale it to live longer. However, it's easy for evil entities to take hold of the spirit in limbo. And eventually, it takes physical form and grows bigger and bigger. This time around, it grew enormous, so we had to intervene. It's a shame though, there are always great casualties.
I wonder if any of my friends or family are still alive.
No, they're all dead,
How do you know?
because the cocooning took place 175 years ago. Humans don't usually live that long.
Does this thing go fast?
Yes.
It's all on you, Juliette. A darkness formed in Saginaw, Michigan. Some people called it a curse. Others thought it to be folktales. But to James Henson and his Church of the Red Mist, they worshipped it as Sylvio. It's my belief that through some sort of communication with the dark forest spirit, James obtained the knowledge to extract light from living things. First from birds and small animals, and after establishing success, humans. But he wanted specific humans, healthy and able-bodied, keeping people in some sort of half-life. He extracted the light from them for energy and for longevity. Bobby, his son, became obsessed with one of the victims, Jill, attempting to save her, but in the end, failing. It most likely costing him his life. Just after Bobby's death, a soft-spoken ghost recordist named Juliette Waters very excited to try out her new Stellatron EVP recorder, delves into Saginaw Family Park. She learns about the church, about Bobby, James, and Sylvio. She discovers and operates the alien machine that extracts light and makes her way to the epicenter on top of Saginaw Park's mountain. She discovers James's horrible secret, but no one was there. All of the contestant winners, dead. James and the rest of the staff had fled. Juliette discovers a hidden hatch leading to a human light extraction unit. Jill, currently still half alive inside, left there hastily by James. Juliette, not knowing the repercussions, lifts the helmet off of Jill's head, and then, boom, a major light leak. Jill's light now attracted the darkness. It feeds off the leaking light, growing bigger and bigger in size, out of control. Angels, aware of the light leak, make their way to Earth as soon as possible. They extract or rapture as many people onto their vessels as they can hold. They begin patching the light leak, creating a cataclysmic event, encasing the whole planet in a cocoon and killing all life on Earth, save one, Juliette Waters. Something happened to her while attempting to save Jill. She was blasted with light and went into some sort of suspended animation, safe and alive, untouched by the Armageddon. She stayed in that state for 175 years until one day she awoke and found a rusted old boat and Captain Walters on the other end of the radio. Okay, you can see it now. Behold, it's a little UFO. I feel like it may have been a better scene without the UFO and just the ending screen instead. You know, it sounded better before you saw that, right? Yeah. But what can you do? We got a lot of the questions we had after Sylvio 1 answered right at the end of this game. Kind of felt like a lore dump. Most of Sylvio 2 doesn't directly give us clear answers to the overall plot. It has more of a, here's more questions side effect on me. We're still really fuzzy on what James was up to, going house to house, locking people up, or possibly him being locked out? Are the sculptures alien angels, or are they the darkness, like Sylvio? Demons that feed on light? What was with the pentagram ritual and all of the possessed people? Were they taken over by the darkness? I don't really know. In Stroboscope's games, I feel like you have to do a lot of creative work, filling in the blanks yourself. And I kind of love that. It takes a bit of effort to make things tie together. My interpretation will most likely differ to your experience. I miss and overlook things a lot, but with these games, I did my best to relay to you my understanding of how things unfolded here in Saginaw. Okay, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Sylvio 3 Black Waters is my least favorite in the series. It again, but more so, has the frustrating effect of giving you way, way more questions than answers, and leaving many of our remaining questions after Sylvio 2 unanswered. The story and what's told and discovered is great, but it's like a side story adjacent to the other two games. Nothing is really addressed. This has been a long, wild ride of a video, but I can't exclude this game from the video, as it does have a few things to offer us. However, this is going to be a brief review of what I know of the game and its plot, not a complete walkthrough like the others. All right, let's get back to the UFO, taking us to the other survivors. And splat. I guess the angels were really busy because they just dumped Juliette's ass on this hell planet and then took the fuck off. Well, looks like we're underground again. But there's some sort of castle ruins and a moon lander from somewhere. I mean, it's not aliens. We saw what their ship looked like, and it was just like a normal saucer. Oh my god, we can crouch and jump now? That's my two favorite buttons. Hoop, ha, hoop, ha.
Please enter the combination.
If I could, I would. What is this place?
A computer console asks for a combination to unlock the lander. This is our ticket off this rock. Even though we just got here, our overall goal in Sylvio 3 is to leave, funnily enough. We find a new device next to the computer.
This is Jake. I've set the combination to be the same as the big freezer back on the ship. If you don't know it by now, then you have no one to blame but yourself. I'm following the breadcrumbs. Stay put. I'll be back soon.
James? James Hansen! James? Oh god. Here we go again. He has the code for the lander, but he's tight-lipped about it. Man, I don't even know if this is James, like James Henson. I don't know how it could be, unless he was like one of the evacuees. But then why is he here in a NASA-style spacesuit? And why is a moonlander here? I don't know.
Hello? Hello? My name is Juliette. Where are you?
Diving into the ruins, it looks like a devastated planet. We find human-made objects amongst the debris. At the end of the trail, we find a shack with what looks like clay faces mounted to a board. A statue next to them is glowing and holding a watch, and here we meet Lee.
You have an incoming call.
Hello?
Hello,
Oh, hi. Who are you?
I'm Lee. Who are you?
My name is Juliette. Are you here as well?
Yeah,
Are you alone?
there were a lot of us. Then it was just me and George. Now it's only me.
What happened to everyone?
They died.
And George?
He died too.
Where are you?
I'm by the lake.
I was just there. Do you know what the combination is? For the computer?
No, I don't think anyone ever figured it out.
As we venture through this world, Lee explains to us what it is.
This is a place for humans to live in as a replacement for Earth. It mimics things found there, from the understanding of something non-human.
So the angels created a mimic planet, one that would read the thoughts and memories of humans and recreate what it interprets physically. But something went wrong. Lee told us that they're all dead. Coming across the body of an astronaut, Juliette has a vision, experiencing what they did.
Guys, come in. Respond if you can hear me. Set combination. Juliet, Alpha, Delta, Romeo, Bravo. Same.
Oh, we got the code. Okay, that was easy.
I found an astronaut in the house. I got a vision and it showed me the combination for the computer by the lake. I think there's a possibility that we can get out of here.
Oh, but what's the combination?
I'll keep it to myself for now.
Well, what if you forget? Give it to me.
You know what? It was probably nothing. Do you know how I can get to the lake?
Yes, I do.
How do I get there?
If I show you the way, you'll let me come along. Deal?
It's a deal.
Okay, there's something wrong with Lee. He makes a deal to guide Juliette to the lake we saw at the beginning, but wait, the first area was underground. But in the vision, we can see the sun in the sky. Lee did mention that the sun just kind of went away one day.
There was a sun once, but it became smaller and smaller. And eventually it disappeared altogether.
It seems like the astronauts were here first, landing on the planet that the creators made for humans, possibly preemptively. Making it back to the face wall shack, we contact Lee again.
Right below you, that's the entrance to the lake. It's shut off, but I know how to open the door.
How do I get there?
There's no gate from the side you're on. You have to go through the lungs.
The lungs? That must be the planet's source of air with trees and plants growing. Gravity is different here. It changes from location to location. Special ladders and doorways allow Juliette to change her gravity from one plane to another. The main hub area that connects the shack and all other routes have a little bike that we can ride to go from area to area. Music plays an important role in Sylvio 3. The traveling music is surreal. It definitely pairs well with our location. Much of the game's mood and feel comes from an amazing soundtrack. There's also an optional song puzzle in each area. I love these songs. Folk music, sung by Berefkust. It's very beautiful for the ambience. In the lungs, you can engage in the game's also optional combat system. You can turn it off at any time. It was kind of interesting for the first hour or so, but then it became cumbersome. There's no benefit to engaging in combat. There's no pickups, no messages from the spirits as you got in Sylvia 1, just an obstacle between you and the story. Cabinets and chests are everywhere, supplying you with propellant and ammo, but that also becomes a chore as you're overwhelmed with stopping every 5 seconds to look through them for the reward of more ammo. It was nice to see combat back in the series, but I feel like it could have been implemented better with some kind of story reward or reason for having it there. The optional song element is also nice. You find monitors with song lyrics at certain locations. You then pair them with artwork found around different spots. And when you match them together,
Black waters calls my name, but I remember just the same.
the only real necessary component to this is that you have to at least pick up the monitor, and then light will shine on the path forward for you. Again, I love the idea of this, but man, it's just implemented poorly. It leads people to playing like this. Just speedrunning the game to get to the plot. And that's a good sign. It shows that people are interested in your world and want to engage in the story, but the game just gets in its own way. Definitely needed some tweaking to pace the game, making the combat and areas you traverse meaningful and not just one more barrier to interacting with your story. Another element that I haven't mentioned is the watch. It allows us to hear the dead at the glowing, fluttering spots that are everywhere. As you collect the word from it, it gets added to a list of stories from each of the survivors that lived here. When you've collected them all and arranged them in order, you get the whole story. Again, it turns into a chore as opposed to piecing things together as you did in Sylvia 1 and 2. We'll go over the people's stories a bit later. A theme begins to form talking with Lee. He mentions that there's a forbidden lake many times. No one is allowed to enter. The black water within changes people, possesses them in a way. This happened to Lee's friend George. Lee admits to swimming in the lake.
That was the first time you were in the lake? During the fire?
No, I was in the lake all the time.
In the past too? Wasn't that a big deal, that you swam in the lake? Wasn't it forbidden?
Yeah, I didn't really tell anyone I was there.
So yeah, he's been acting suspicious right from the jump. He just seems off. Juliette is very cautious talking with him, and rightfully so. So with the knowledge that the planet mimics into physical reality, thoughts and memories from people's minds, let's watch this next astronaut's vision and see what we think is happening here.
Did you hear the rooster crying his name? An name connected, the devil wears the same.
Ah, there we go. The creators of the planet didn't understand the human mind. We have vivid imaginations. It may seem strange or even unthinkable to other beings. We tend to take comfort in the macabre or tragic, especially in old folk songs. Could it be the astronauts that landed here first were the basis on which the planet developed its almost nightmarish physical manifestations? And then the survivors dumped here by the angels had to live as well as they could in these awful conditions.
How did everyone die?
They died in the fire.
The fire that George started.
That's the one.
How did George feel about that? What did he do?
He cracked open their skulls and put their faces on the wall in the office.
Why didn't you tell me before?
It wasn't like him. I didn't want to give you a false impression of George.
But why would he do such a thing?
I think he felt lonely. They comforted him.
No, I mean, why would he set the whole thing on fire?
I don't know.
So, he went swimming in the lake, and then he started the fire.
Something like that.
Did something in the lake make him do it?
I'm tired of your obsession with the lake. George did it. The lake is just a lake.
And he told you about it?
Yes, but I didn't think he'd do it.
How did you survive?
I was in the lake.
So the fate of the survivors ultimately was death at the hand of George. Lee, to me, seems like the lake itself. His close relationship with George, commenting that he has been in the lake the whole time, as you can hear in this conversation.
That was the first time you were in the lake? During the fire?
No, I was in the lake all the time.
During all the astronaut visions, they were always talking to an unseen, unnamed figure. I believe that they were all talking to the entity of the lake that calls itself Lee. When the survivors arrived on the planet, they did for a time grow food and maintain a semblance of order with rules and laws, but it seems that the lake's entity lured many of the people into it, and it had different effects on each person. The theme of possession from Sylvio 2 does show up here. Whether it's the same sort of possession, I'm not so sure, but people do mention that there were lookalikes within the group. But then Lee hits us with this.
Do you want to know a secret?
Okay.
There is no George.
What do you mean?
There is no George. Only you and me.
I could never replace George.
So why did he leave me?
I don't know.
Did I strangle him under a tree?
What?
Did I watch his face turn blue?
You tell me. Did you strangle him?
Why don't you ask him?
You know I can't. The office is too crowded. Why did you do it?
You sound just like Sam.
The mention of strangling under a tree does show up in two of the group's stories. It's hard to say with an artificial planet what is created and what was here from the beginning. Towards the previously inaccessible area underneath the face shack, Juliette finds a train and then contacts Lee immediately.
Hey Lee, there's no lake here.
Ah, truth be told, Juliette, I have to let you go now. It was a lot more fun talking to you than pretending to be someone's space buddy, but I can't have people running around my forest. You understand?
Hello? Hello?
And then we have one last astronaut vision.
Hold on a minute. The air is breathable. And the water feels so good. What if I just took one quick little dip? Screw you, Jake. Screw you, Charlotte. I'm having a bath, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That was Lee. It was the voice of Lee. I need to go back to the office to see if I can make sense of all of this.
Back in the face shack, with the faceboard mostly filled out, Juliette does a better job than I piecing some of the story together.
Let's see what I learned. A woman killed a young child and was sentenced to death by drowning in a lake. The lake was then forbidden to enter. Terrible things happened to people who went in. There is an outer surface, which means I'm on the inside of the planet right now. That's why it's always dark here. There were stories about people getting possessed after going into the lake. The lake seems to have two surfaces in two different gravities. One side of the lake is filled with dirt. The other one is the cursed lake with black water. There is a train that can ride the train track into the ground and break through the dry dirt. But then I'll end up in the lake. The astronaut in the last vision had the same voice as Lee. He was the first astronaut on the planet and got possessed when he went swimming in the lake. He then lured his colleagues into the castle one by one. That means Lee is the dead astronaut in the train. He was possessed by the witch who tried to lure me into the lake. It seems to me the only way back is by driving the train into the dried up lake, but I can't risk ending up in the water on the other side. But if I manage to isolate myself from the water, I might be okay. All the astronauts' spacesuits are broken, but what about the one Adam was wearing? What if I could wear that one? But where could it be? The witch said never to touch the bodies. What was she hiding?
Underneath George's statue is a fully intact spacesuit that can shield us from the black water. Putting it on, Juliette makes the train go chew.
Please enter the combination.
Juliette, Alpha, Delta, Romeo, Bravo.
Does any of this pertain to Sylvio 1 and 2? Aside from the part where the angels drop us off and the theme of possession, it doesn't really. Perhaps this is just meant as a side story pit stop on Juliette's continuing journey into unknown space. Is this the game I wanted for a part 3 in the Sylvio series? Not particularly, no. But I'll leave you with this final thought. Art is never for you. It's shared with you. You can relate, sympathize, empathize, and really, really feel it, like deep down. But the only art that is for you is art that you create yourself. Nicholas Swanberg shares with us his art in the form of playable games. We don't have to get it. We don't have to have all of the little plot points and pieces fit together nicely and be wrapped up with a bow. We can appreciate and experience all 3 of the games for what they are. One person's passion and emotion poured into these games and shared with all of us. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Lone, and this has been the Sylvio Trilogy.